it's things, your world changes pretty quick, and the tariffs that was announced last night, there's you know, for the province, we sell lobster into there's a lot of stuff that's shipped from PEI to especially the fisheries. Our meat plant is a big I believe sells into the States. There's just a lot of things that we don't even think about that are going to be affected. And it's hard to fathom how two of the greatest nations in the world have to be in this position.
Welcome to Municipal Affairs. Today we have a very special guest, someone at the forefront of municipal leadership and advocacy in the province of Prince Edward Island. Joining us today is Bruce MacDougall, president of the Federation of Prince Edward Island Municipalities. Bruce has been a strong voice for PEI's municipalities, working to ensure that local governments have the tools and support they need to serve their communities effectively. And there is a lot happening right now in the municipal and provincial landscape of Prince Edward Island, so we have plenty to discuss. From leadership transitions at FPEIM and at the provincial level to the ongoing need for infrastructure investment, housing development, and economic resilience, there are issues that are directly impacting the day-to-day lives of islanders and municipalities. And of course, we'll be discussing some of the bigger challenges that lay ahead, how municipalities are tackling them, and of course, how they are adapting to economic pressures, including new U.S. tariffs that could impact local industries across the province. So stay with us. Across Canada, our cities, towns, villages, and rural communities are alive with stories waiting to be told. Stories of innovation and economic development, resilience in the face of the housing challenges, and the financial hurdles municipalities overcome every day. At the Cross Border Network, we bring these stories to life. From coast to coast to coast, we're connecting Canadians to the issues shaping our communities and showcasing the people working tirelessly to make them thrive. With your support, we can expand our reach, amplify more voices, and shine a light on the challenges and triumphs of municipal life. For as little as $3.99 a month, you can help us grow and continue sharing the stories that matter most. Join us today and be part of this important mission. Together, we can tell more stories, build stronger communities, and make a real difference. Support the Cross Border Network now. Visit www.crossborderinterviews.ca today. Bruce, thank you so much for joining us today. Before I start with the big context of the interview, I want to simply ask, how would you describe the state of municipalities in the province of Prince Edward Island today as of March 4th, 2025?
Well, I think there's a lot of things on people's minds these days, just with the announcement last night of the tariffs and everything. But overall, the municipalities in the province have been they've been trying to climb this hill for a revenue sharing a program with the province, and so that hasn't come to fruition yet, and so municipalities are struggling a bit. And these are not the greatest times. Yes, there's lots of construction going on and all that, but it takes a lot of money to do the infrastructure to accommodate all this housing too, right? So, but overall, we live in the best country in the world, and just glad to be here.
We certainly do live in the best country in the world, and I'm going to talk about the tariffs a little bit later, but I want to stick
Yeah,
closer to home for a few minutes, if you don't mind, because
no problem.
February, if we would have done this interview when we originally planned before I had to reschedule it, it would have been out of date by the time it went to air because there's been a lot of
Yes.
transition going on in Prince Edward Island. Premier Dennis King retired. He resigned from office on February 20th. Newly appointed Premier Rob Lance was then appointed the 34th Premier on February 21st. I want to start with the transition at the provincial level. What was your working relationship as president of FPEIM with Premier King?
Well, I always enjoyed a great working relationship with whoever was at the helm, but I had a good working relationship, a great working relationship with Premier King. I like a man that calls a spade, and he was that type of person. And politics in PEI is something like the weather here. It's hard to predict, and you know. to come out one day at 11 o'clock and say I'm done tomorrow at 12, it was a shocker. Shockwave sent through the island because he was well liked, and we wish Dennis all the best because he was a good person to deal with, and he started a couple of things that he committed to the revenue sharing, and he also committed to doing a land use policy in the province. So we thank him for that.
I want to
And
talk. Oh, go ahead.
no, I was just going to go on to the new premier, and if
You're about to take
that,
my question out of my mouth then, because now the legislature was prorogued. There was a new speech from the throne. Premier Lance has appointed two new cabinet ministers. He kept relatively the same cabinet ministers that Premier King had. Um, and Lance has some working relationships with FPEIM already with municipalities across the province because he was, I want to make sure I get this title right, Minister of Housing, Land, and Communities under Premier King. How do you see municipalities' relationship with the new premier unfolding as we head into the now Lance era of Prince Edward Island?
I see it. I guess when you have a former counselor uh, as a premier. Not only that, when you have a former minister of lands and communities uh, with that experience behind him, and we worked really close together. I've known Rob for a long time. He's a great guy, whether he's in politics or not, and he's very thoughtful, and we enjoyed a real good working relationship when he was the minister. And I had a quick conversation with him uh, on Friday, and just wished him all the best, and told him I'd be knocking on his door. So I'm sure he's expecting that knocking anytime.
What is priority number one to work with the new premier on with the municipalities' perspective? Is it that new funding to get that new
Yeah,
funding
yeah.
agreement in place?
The new funding is vital. It's it's the top one that we need fixed. We're going on our fourth year. We had a 5-year agreement, and that expired almost 4 years ago. Yeah, there's been a little bit of uh, CPI added to it and that, but that's not what we need. We need to have long-term predictable funding for municipalities to be able to grow and to manage their growth.
I'm going to put you on the spot here because
Yeah.
I often do, but is there a number you're looking for? Is there a total that you're looking for new funding, or is it just a complete rewrite of the formula that municipalities get? What exactly are you looking for from the for from a new funding agreement between the province and the municipalities?
Well, I don't have a number because I'm sure that there's what we have is a negotiation team uh, made up of our executive director and uh, the CAOs in the province. So they have submitted a uh, the city of Charlottetown and Summerside have submitted an application or a proposition, as well as the federation representing the rest of the island. Now, those numbers, I don't even want to get into those because I'd be probably telling you the wrong number because it changes daily probably. So, but it's a number that we're trying to get uh, to so that the municipalities are, uh, you know, fully, fully, uh, what's the word? But
Fund
you know,
it
they
correctly.
fully funded so that they can do the things that they need to do. And you know, provinces can budget for a deficit. We can't.
Yeah.
And that's the challenge we have. I'm in Summerside, I'm the chair of finance, and we're just going through our budget process now. And we just about done, but you know what? There's that gap of guessing is what are we going to get, you know? So, and you can't budget for a deficit. So, you know, that's the challenges that we have in the province here.
Now, is this funding agreement that this new funding formula, new funding that you're looking for the province in the same line of what the Federation of Canadian Municipalities is also asking for from the federal government? Because I know as the president of your organization, you're part of Federation of Canadian Municipalities as well, and they've been calling on a trilateral
Right.
meeting between the federal governments, the provincial and territorial governments, and the municipalities. Is this the same line, or is this something new that's unique to Prince Edward Island's this funding that you're looking for?
It's a very similar project. The the FCM has this municipal growth framework that they're working on with towards the government, and it's something that has to happen. It you know to There's been a couple of like the gas tax. I'll call it the gas tax that goes directly to municipalities for funding, and that's a great uh, uh, project and a great funding mechanism. But you know, there's got to be uh, a better understanding of the federal and provincial governments to see that municipalities are not being funded to the level they need to be. You know, we're the closest to the people. You know, we were there when COVID hit. We were there when Dorian hit, you know, and we're basically the first responders to the residents. And we need a new municipal growth framework across Canada, as well as the one here in the province. And if they happen to tie them together and it was good for municipalities, then I'm all for it.
I feel like every time I say his name, he's going to appear like Beetlejuice. But Scott Pierce said it best, the former president of FCM. You guys are the
Yes,
government of proximity. You guys are the ones who deal with it on a day-to-day basis. The old adage
that's
goes,
right.
if the federal government goes away, you won't notice for a few months. If the provincial government goes away, you may notice after a few weeks. But if the municipality goes away, dang well sure that you're probably going to know the next morning or that day.
You're
Um,
right. You're right.
I want to turn about because there's been leadership changes at the Federation of Prince Edward Island municipalities as well. Later in 2024, it was announced after 24 years as executive director of the FPEIM, John Dewey would be retiring in 2025. What was John's contribution to municipalities in Prince Edward Island being as the head of your organization for such a long period of time?
Well, you know, John kept telling me that I may retire soon, and I kept turning a deaf ear to him because you know, I've been with the organization since 2007 as president, and I've had a major working relationship with John. And you know, what is his contribution? The contribution that I see that John has made will probably never be recognized because when we were asked to do presentations on land issues, environment issues, if the provinces were doing a report, it didn't matter what color the government was. They probably took a lot of stuff out of our presentation, line for line, that John had wrote and and included in the reports. You know, whether it was the land and local governance or land use, we had one to do with the land here not too long ago by Minister Thompson, and there was a lot of things in there. Basically, what we what was in our presentation. So John was a John is a smart cookie. I was going to say he was, but John was a he was one of these guys that was so quiet. I told him I wish he had a volume button on him, uh, but he was very thoughtful, and he was always there for municipalities, large or small. So, John did a bang up job, and he'll be a hard guy to replace.
And that's what I was about to follow up on because I know in the press release that was put out that it said that it was going to be early 2025 when he retired, and the organization had put together a committee to hire a new executive director. How's that going? Because I haven't seen if there's actually been one hired, or is it still ongoing?
It's ongoing.
Yeah.
We're getting down to the wire. We hope to be able to get together in the next week or so to we got it down to probably about 5 to 7, and we're working on taking that down to probably 3. So it is a process, and the application just closed here not too long ago. So we uh, uh, we are in the process, and we hope to have somebody in place in April sometime.
Oh, perfect. So right around the corner, I'll have to have them on the show
Yeah.
to talk about their new role. Um, I want to turn to the challenges. You talked about the infrastructure challenges that municipalities are dealing with, the funding challenges. Um, how does FPEIM work with municipalities to address those challenges that they face? Because I've had the pleasure to chat with a few, not a lot, but a few municipalities in the province of Prince Edward Island, and I'm hearing about the housing challenges, the infrastructure challenges that you talked about earlier. How does your organization work with municipalities to advocate for them on that provincial level?
Well, uh, where we've always been fortunate to have a great working relationship with our municipal uh, association through the province. And we are managing a municipal infrastructure fund for the province right now. And that's for smaller municipalities. And it's not for the rural, the bigger, uh, the two cities, basically. It's to uh, promote growth for infrastructure in the smaller communities, right? So that has water and sewer. So that's one thing. But the biggest thing is our door is always open, and we have a great working relationship with all our municipalities. And right now we have Sen uh, as our interim executive director, and he has a good handle on things, and we have a great staff there. And just knowing that the municipalities and the members are reaching out for information is heartwarming too. So
When we talk about the infrastructure challenges, are we talking about aging infrastructure as well? Because when I sat down with Philip Brown, the mayor of mayor of Prince Edward Island, mayor of Charlottetown,
he thinks he
he'll be happy
wishes.
about. I can't say anything bad. We found it that we're blood relatives going back to our days when we both his family and my family knew came from the same lineage in Ontario. So I can't say anything bad about my family members.
Perfect. He's a good
Um,
guy.
yeah, he is. Is the infrastructure challenge that the province is facing, is it aging infrastructure that we're talking about, or is it new infrastructure? Because there seems to be a emphasis on building more housing in Prince Edward Island. There seems to be a big influx of people moving to the province of Prince Edward Island. So, are we talking about a gambit of infrastructure challenges, whether it be that aging infrastructure, like the mayor of Charlottetown told me, or is it all types of infrastructure challenges that you're facing?
Chris, it's all types. I know if you went to the city of Charlottetown or the city of Summerside, uh, you're going to find infrastructure that's in the ground for 100 years. And some of those, those water and sewer pipes are still fine, but they should be replaced. And we have that right across right across the province in the older municipalities. But that's one thing. We need the funding to be able to operate so that we can afford to replace those. The other part of it is, yes, there's a big housing boom on PEI, and everybody wants to move here, and I don't blame them. But, you know, we have every time you build a new subdivision, there's a lot of cost, to the developers and to the city, to the cities to extend the services into these new subdivisions, whether it's water, sewer, or electrical. And I know, yes, they'll recoup it over a long term, but that's putting the real pressure on the people here today.
Are you optimistic that a new funding agreement, a new funding model with the province could fix this challenge that municipalities are facing? Or are you, as I am, always pessimistic that it is one part of a solution to a
Yeah.
multifaceted problem that you're facing?
That's only one part of the issue. There needs to be another large infrastructure program by the federal government.
Yeah.
Uh, we cannot continue to you know, open our borders to allow more people to come in and expect the municipalities to, basically. I said to the premier, I was having dinner with him at our annual meeting, and this was before they had taken the amount down. And I said to the premier, I said, it's just like having a three-bedroom house and inviting 35 people to stay with you. We weren't prepared for it. And, so there's definitely a big need for another infrastructure program. And we're hoping that that's in the winds.
Um, the economic forecast of Canada does not look rosy right now as of recording this, because as of this morning at 12 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, President Donald Trump has announced that he was implementing a 25% tariff on goods from Canada into the United States. Now, this is going to impact small municipalities, rural municipalities, municipalities in Prince Edward Island, and municipalities across this great country. How do these new U.S. tariffs on Canadian good impact PEI's local industries today?
Um, you know, it it's sickening, to try and figure out what's happening right now. It's things, your world changes pretty quick, and the tariffs that was announced last night, there's you know, for the province, we sell lobster into there's a lot of stuff that's shipped from PEI to especially the fisheries. Our meat plant is a big, I believe, sells into the States. There's just a lot of things that we don't even think about that are going to be affected. And it's hard to fathom how two of the greatest nations in the world have to be in this position. Uh, you'd think they'd be able to talk things through, but it's like talking to a wall. And
Are you, and I hate to be the guy who brings it down a little bit more, but are you hopeful that municipalities, the province of Prince Edward Island, can weather this storm that is coming? Because I should mention, just because I'm going to do this just for the sake of clarity, we are recording this on March 4th at 8 a.m. Eastern Mountain Standard Time. I think it's about 11 o'clock your time in Atlantic Standard Time.
yes.
Um, and this could all change by the time this goes to air on Wednesday morning. So as of right now, this is the new world that we live in. So by the time this airs, this could be a completely moot conversation we're having. But are you optimistic? Are you hopeful that the Prince Edward Island economy, the Prince Edward Island municipalities can weather this storm, or are you cautious to even talk about the the worst case scenario?
Well, U.S. exports account for about 25% of our GDP. You know what? We're resilient here in the province, and we will pull together and we'll do whatever we have to survive. We've done that before, and we'll pull together and we'll come out of this. Uh, Hopefully, this is over with by the time this airs, but I'm doubtful. And but it's going to be, if things don't change, it's going to be a long haul. It's going to be a hard haul, and but uh, we all need to pull together and stand together.
Uh,
And
I'm gonna throw you under the bus here for a second because you and I are friends on Facebook, and I
yes,
watched your video of your song, and hopefully, if you wouldn't mind, if I could link it in the show notes or put it in this video, because I think it is a true empowering voice that you gave to this critical situation that we're currently in. So, for those who know Bruce, who are in Prince Edward Island, who are friends with him on in Prince Edward Island, I highly recommend you check that out because it is um, one man's trying to keep us calm, and it made me calm when I was listening to it on the way back from Yellowknife. So, thank you so much for that.
thanks, Chris. I had an awful lot of comments on that song. I just like to add that I was in the U.S. when I wrote that. I uh, I have a friend down there that I go down to visit every year in February, and the day before I left, I didn't want to go. My wife and I just had wasn't comfortable in going, and but we did decide because of our friends, and we went down. We didn't do a whole lot, but every morning I get up. I always have my guitar with me, and I just this song fell out of me, and so when I come back home, I just posted that, and it's I think this morning it's closing in on 50,000 views on Facebook. So that's it's hitting a chord with people, and it's just what I was thinking as I was sitting there, and having sitting in the middle of uh, this villa where we were, and probably 90% American. There wasn't much talk about it, but I did have a conversation with one. And one guy said, I didn't support Trump, but my wife did. But if she had one wish, she'd like to take that back. And so that made me feel pretty good.
I'm hearing that a lot right now. I want to turn
Yeah.
back to Prince Edward Island and talk about the future because we talked about a lot of the challenges, the housing, the infrastructure, a little bit of a turbulent time with the leadership changes in the province, with the economic challenges that we face globally now. What do you hope for the future for Prince Edward Island municipalities? Looking at the rest of 2025, I know we're literally only 3 months in, which it feels like we're not. Feels like we're about December by the way I'm feeling after the first 3 months. Are you
Holy,
are
yeah.
you hopeful for the next? Are you hopeful for the remainder of 2025 that you can fix or solve some of these challenges that we've talked about, the housing, infrastructure?
Well, I'm hopeful. There's this year is there's a threat of election all over the place, whether it's and things are changing in the political life, whether it's you know, they had an election in Nova Scotia, they had one in New Brunswick, there's probably going to be one called federally, and in the province, I see, you know, the change what we have in our premier now, and they're both they're going to have a leadership convention too. So we have no idea where this is going to land. But anyway, I in order to be successful, we need to have long-term predictable funding on this province. We also have to have a land use policy to cover this province. It breaks my heart. PEI is one of the most beautiful places you can drive through. And I drive along the coast and I see a potato field that was filled full of beautiful potatoes last year is now cut out 5 to 10 acres of it to put one house on, a mansion, overlooking the ocean. That's wrong. And that happens a lot. It's wrong. And we need to fix that. And hopefully this new land use policy will, address some of those things. So,
Ha- has that been
you
passed?
know,
Sorry, just I'm
no,
playing
no,
ignorant here. Go ahead.
they're in the process of doing the new land use policy now. So, uh, and it's going to take a while, but it's just those things that, like I said, I've been involved with the municipal world for 34 years here in Summerside. Been on the federation, I don't know how many, but uh, a number. And the state of this island is in my heart, and I just want what's best for this island. And I think what's best for this island, as soon as we can come to a new revenue sharing program for municipalities, and as soon as we can get that land use policy uh, completed and passed through the House, the better off we're all going to be.
Bruce, I think that's the best way we could leave it. Being optimistic about the future and pessimistic about what has happened, because, well, what's happened is a little bit challenging
Yes,
and there's not much control
yes,
we can do. So, Bruce, I want to thank you so much from the bottom of my heart for sitting down and talking to me. It's always a pleasure to get to know you and get to chat with you and chat with municipalities in Prince Edward Island. And I will say this, and I can officially say this because that's why I had to reschedule last week. I'm officially cleared to fly now, so that means I do not have to drive out to Prince Edward Island. I get to fly out to Prince Edward Island. So 2025,
perfect,
get ready to see me because I have some promises that I broke a few years ago that I need to make up on. So 2025, Prince Edward Island, I'm coming to see you. So let's grab a coffee when we get there
perfect.
this year, okay?
Doors always open and the teapot's on, so come on in.
Thank you so much for tuning in for another episode of Municipal Affairs. We hope you've enjoyed today's conversation and gained some valuable insights on what's going on in Canada's island province of Prince Edward Island. To stay in the loop with all of our latest episodes, don't forget to subscribe to the show on your favorite podcast platform or here on YouTube or wherever you are getting this. And follow us on social media at Cross Border Networks. For even more content and learn more about the stories and people we feature on this show, visit us online at crossborderinterviews.ca. Your support means the world to us, so share this episode with your friends, your family, and yes, even your community, and help keep the conversation going. And if you could do an extra favor for us, head over to Apple Podcast or Spotify and give us a review. It helps us get the word out even more. So until next time, stay informed, stay engaged, and we'll see you next time here on Municipal Affairs. Till then, everyone.